What's happening, guys? Levi from AMX here, and today we're going to answer some oil questions. We're going to go over some common misconceptions that people have about oil. We're also going to go through a bit of a range that we carry out at AMX and what can best suit your bike and your riding style. First up, guys, we're going to talk about what the different numbers on the front of the bottles generally mean. Now, this is the oil's viscosity rating. Now, these are multigrade oils, but there is a difference between multigrade and monograde. Now, monograde oil was an early form of technology in regards to lubrication where you would actually change your oil determined by the season you're running your engine in. When you're riding in the summer times, you generally need an oil that retains its lubricating properties even at a averagely higher temperature, where in the winter time, you need something that's a little bit thinner that will still retain its lubricating properties in the colder climates when liquids are generally at a thicker state. Now, with the advances of lubricating technologies that we have today, we have been able to make a multi-grade oil, which gives you your protection in the wintertime or when the engine oil is cool at its thickest state, but then also thins out to a thinner oil, but still provides plenty of protection and anti-wear properties at operating temperature, at its higher temperatures. Now, a lot of our oils nowadays are held to a certain standard, which is the SAE rating, or the Society of Automotive Engineers. And most oils today have to adhere to a certain set of rules and standards in order to have their product on the shelves. A lot of manufacturers will actually recommend their own oils, particular weights in oils depending on the application of the engine, and so on and so forth like that. Now, what these numbers mean, so we have a 10W40. Now, 10W stands for its viscosity rating in the wintertime or at cooler temperatures. The 40 stands for its lubricating properties at operating temperature, which is generally around the 90 degrees to 100 degrees Celsius. So the multigrade oil, it actually changes its characteristic properties as the oil goes through its different stages in temperature. In essence, guys, when you see a monograde oil, it generally only displays one number, and that is the number of which, that is the viscosity rating of that oil at a particular operating temperature. Now, multigrade gives you the best of both worlds. It gives you the protection when the engine is cold or in the winter months, but also gives you the protection right up when the oil thins out into its hotter, thinner state in the hotter months and at operating temperature. All right, so now that we have an understanding of monograde and multigrade oils, we now need to wrap our heads around the difference between mineral-based and synthetic-based oils. Now, all oil, even synthetic oil, starts its life as crude oil, which is pumped out of the ground and brought to a refinery where all the impurities are filtered out of the oil, and then you have what you call a base oil. Now, this is both for synthetic and for mineral-based oils. You have generally around the 70 to 90% base oil, and the other 30 to 10% are actually additives packs, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But mineral oil comes out of the ground, goes through a filtration process of removing all those contaminants that are found in the crude oil, and then is added with its additives and goes on the shelf. Now, this is not very labor intensive. It's a pretty easy process if you look at the process that synthetic oils go through. Now, with this easy process, a lot of the contaminants are actually removed, but there are still some that are in there, which gives the mineral oil a different molecular structure. And that molecular structure, those differences in the molecular structure actually break down at an irregular pace over the course of the oil's life. So what this does, this means that eventually, as the oil gets older and older, she'll lose her lubricating properties, its anti-foaming properties, its detergent properties, its anti-tack properties, and it will actually start to cause the engine to actually prematurely wear to a point where it will actually be abrasive. Before you ever reach that point, you would generally change your oil, change your filter, and away you go again. Now, with this whole process, you could imagine that mineral oil is generally a much more affordable choice if you're just looking to commute around, get from A to B, nothing special. Now, onto synthetic oil. Again, synthetic oil starts its life as crude oil being pumped out of the ground, going through an oil refinery. Now, this refinery process is much, much more labor intensive, to the point where they can actually get down to the molecular structure and pull out all those little impurities. So in theory, you could actually go longer between oil changes with synthetic oil, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would stick to the recommended service intervals that any engine manufacturer will recommend for their engine. Now again, synthetic oil starts its life as crude oil, but goes through a much, much more rigorous filtering process and refining process. And this process is a lot more labor intensive, which in turn will be passed on to the consumer in regards to cost. Generally, synthetic oils, even though they're the same, 15W40 fully synthetic, 15W40 mineral oil, you will generally find that the synthetic oil is double the price, if not more. Now, where mineral oil falls short, synthetic oil picks up the baton and keeps running, where it's actually been proven that it can withstand higher mechanical load, it can withstand higher engine RPM, maintaining lubricating properties at higher engine RPM, and also maintaining its lubricating properties at high temperatures. Now, remember earlier in the video where I mentioned additive packages. Now, manufacturers will have their own additive packages to the base oil to determine how the engine oil will react under certain loads, certain temperatures, and really maintain the oil's integrity throughout the operating lifespan of that oil. Now, you can have many different kinds of additives, and there are quite a few, but the basics are more like your anti-foam, your anti-rust, your antioxidants, your viscosity modifiers, your friction modifiers, your anti-shear modifiers, and the list is honestly endless, guys, but we won't break down any of them. When you go to your operator's manual and you look at the recommended oil that is the manufacturer recommends for that engine, you don't need to worry about what additives you need to put in the oil. The job's been done. It's all in the oil that the manufacturer recommends in the operator's manual. Now at AMX, guys, we have a fully comprehensive range of oils and all lubricating things that you may need for your engine. From fully synthetics to semi-synthetics to minerals to two-stroke premix engine oils and all things of that nature. Now, it's always wise that whenever picking out an engine oil, it's smart to go to your owner operator's manual to look at what oil is recommended, specifically recommended by the manufacturer. Now, like always, guys, if you need any more information on oils or the oils that we may supply at AMX, you can always jump on amx.com.au, where we have a team that is ready to answer any and all questions you may have in regards to this. If you're watching this video on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like, maybe even leave a comment if you want to know a little bit more. But like always, guys, Levi from AMX signing off. Get out there and ride safe.